Like always, let's get started by looking at the economic calendar and seeing what's happening this week. Entire screen. Here we go. Boom. Perfect. Ignore. All right. So what we have going on this week, looking at the economic calendar. So to start off Monday, there's no scheduled reports happening on Monday. But then Tuesday, we have the PMI that's happening at 10. And we have job openings as well. Wednesday, nothing's happening, but Wednesday, you do want to circle this day on your calendar because this is the day that Trump is going to speak about the tariffs and what's his plans with the tariffs. So this could be a very important day. While there's nothing scheduled on the economic calendar, circle Wednesday, April 2nd on your calendar because this can be a really huge day in the market for us. Then we have Thursday, some more PMI coming out. And then Friday, we do have Jerome Powell ending off the trading week with a speech. So again, anytime we see Jerome Powell speak, we always want to tune in because he can drive the market either up or down. Lately, it's been going down. So just be prepared for that. You want to make sure that any trades you're in, you might be out of them. Or if you're looking to set up, you definitely want to wait until after he speaks before you get into that trade. And also on Wednesday. Wednesday, I would definitely be trying to steer a little bit clear because, again, the market is 50-50 chance on which way to go. And you don't want to get caught in the opposite way of where you're thinking your trades are going to go. All right. Any questions? And let me see if I can find the exact time if he had on his meeting when he was going to speak. No, he doesn't say. Does not say. Okay. All right, so let's get started looking at some stocks. So again, this next week is going to probably be a little bit. I'm thinking there's going to be some more pullback, some more red days happening, and anytime like when the market is pulling back, this is a good time to start to have that cash on hand and start to find those positions. Start to wait for the bottoms, and you can find some really sound investments that you can go ahead and buy now and swing upwards. So you can buy it low and you can sell it once it gets high. If we was to look at the SPY, we'll start off with the SPY, the S&P 500. We can see that on the daily chart. The last 3 days in the market last week, it was trading red. Let me clear out these lines. We can draw new ones. All right. So last 3 days it was trading red. So it was bleeding last week. And it ended off the week at $55, $555. So the next place that if it continues to go down, what I'm looking for is I'm looking to see if we can find some type of test happening here at about 550. So 550 is going to be my level of support. So if it can reach here, I'm waiting for it to break out and break underneath support. So if it can break underneath this 550 range, then we could be seeing the SPY get even lower. And that price that we can potentially see it get to is going to be sitting here at about 540. And why did I pick 540? Well, if we was to go back and look, we can see that anytime when the price was coming up, we can see it tested this level. It was rejecting it before it ultimately broke above it. Even when it got above it and it started to come back down, we can see price got really close to this 540 range, and then it shot up and before ultimately breaking beneath it. And when it broke beneath it, we can see tests here as well. It was trying to break back above it. So this is a strong level of support to have. So we're saying that if the stock price continues to go down and it breaks beneath 550, then we're ultimately going to probably be seeing the SPY get to 540. Now, can this happen again? Because Trump is going to be talking about the tariffs, and we also have Jerome Powell. This could potentially happen. We can potentially see 540 this week, and then you pair that with the other indicators that we have. So if we look at the RSI level, you can see that the RSI pointing downwards is at about 39 in the RSI level, And then we also have our stochastic RSI is in that overbought region and is pointing downwards, trying to get back to that neutral zone. So that neutral, anytime we see the stochastic RSI at a height and it's pointing and it's starting to come down, we know that the stock price is going to be coming down as well. So if we go back here, we can see stochastic RSI was pretty high. It came down, and you can also see that the stock price is going down with it. So we could be seeing where the stochastic is at. We could be seeing the stock price getting lower and lower. Now, the first place the stochastic is going to get to is that 50 range. So it has a little bit more room to that 50. And I'm thinking by this time, when we get here, we'll probably at least have the SPY sitting at about 550, and which is going to be that first support. So that first support level is where we're going to be seeing this at. And then again, you pair that with also the MACD, where the moving average conversion divergence, the MACD is at, where we have the blue line. The buying pressure is above the selling pressure, but it's starting to get closer and closer to crossing underneath it. When you see this happening, then that means that the stock price is going to continue to decrease as well. If that blue line, the buying pressure, crosses underneath that selling line, that selling pressure, we're going to also see the stock price decrease. And with that crossover, that's going to, 9 times out of 10, that gives it a nice little pop to the downside that you need to see it get to that 540 range. So again, anytime the blue line is underneath the red line, downtrend. We can see here, buying pressure crossed underneath the selling pressure. We can see that the stock price is decreasing in value, and vice versa. If the blue line is above the red line, go back here, see blue line above red line, stock price is going up. So that's what happens, and that's how you can read that. Any questions so far? Okay, perfect. All right, now what if it doesn't? What if it gets to 550 and it decides, hey, this is the bottom, I want to turn around? How high can we see this get to? Well, the first place that I'm thinking it'll get to, if it does increase in value, is going to be this 20-day moving average we have here. And I can zoom in a little bit more to make it cleaner. So this 20-day moving average is going to be the next place it can get to. So I like to tell people with the moving averages, you want to treat these averages as either support or resistance, depending on which section of the trade it's at. So because the price is at 550 and the price is below the moving averages, you're going to treat these lines as resistance. If the price was above the moving averages, you're going to treat those lines as support. So my first level of resistance that I will have would be here at about 566, 565 is where it's going to be. If once the market opens up Monday, the line will probably be somewhere at about 564. It's probably where it's going to be at, just because it's taking the averages. So it's just going to continue to dip as the price is lower and lower. But we can say this 20-day moving average, wherever that line is going to be at, that's going to be my first level of support. So if this stock price dips down to 560 and it rejects, then I'm saying, okay, we'll 9 times out of 10 see this stock price get back to this moving average, which is at about 566 right now. Now, again, looking at the indicators, it's pretty unlikely that that'll happen to where we'll see it increase before it starts to decline. The way these indicators are setting up and the way that the economy is right now, and we have Jerome Powell speaking, we have Trump speaking, I'm thinking we're going to see this 540 before we see that 560 happen. And I'm personally just playing for puts right now. So if I was getting into a trade, I'm waiting until the stock price, the SPY, breaks beneath this 550 range. And once it breaks beneath that, I can then go ahead and get into a little put option to about 540 and ride it that way. And again, if you're looking to swing trade it, I would be waiting for that rejection, for that pullback to happen, and for the price to reject off that 540 before I start to even try to get into swing trades, just because of how the market is right now. Any questions on the spot? All right, cool. All right, so the next one that I want to talk about that can potentially have a nice little pullback happen is going to be Meta. And again, let me clear out these. So Meta for the daily, Meta is also setting up to potentially continue to pull back. It's currently testing the 200-day moving average. So we can use this as our first level of support. So what I'm looking for on Meta is, can it break beneath this support level, beneath this 200 moving average? If it can break beneath this 200 moving average, we could be seeing this get a little bit lower. And the place that is going to go, we was to draw our next support line. So we'll draw our first support just right there. And our next support, we was to scrunch it up a little bit. We can say we have a nice area right there. So if this can break beneath this 556 range, we could be seeing this get to about 560. It's going to be the place that we can potentially see Meta get to. Looking at the indicators, quite similar to how the SPY is. We can see that the RSI level is pretty high, but it is pointing downwards. It's trying to get to that neutral zone and then eventually back to that zero. So again, with the stochastic RSI, it likes to treat the overbought. It likes to touch the overbought region and then go to the oversold region. And that's what it looks like is happening now. So it's getting to that 50 range. If it can break beneath that 50 range, we'll be seeing this get back to that zero value in the stochastic RSI. And the RSI level pointing downwards is trying to get closer and closer to that oversold region as well in the RSI. It's not there yet. Again, with where the stochastic RSI level is at, we have room for this stock to continue to go down. Then you pair that with the MACD we have. We can see MACD really close to a crossover to the downside, where the buying pressure will be underneath the selling pressure. There's not a lot of room for it to continue to go down. I mean, it can go even lower, but again, I'm thinking with that crossover, we should at least see this get to about 560. And then from there, that's when we could start to see some type of rejection from this support and start to see it try to go back up in value. But just looking at the daily and looking how it's setting up, I'm thinking if it breaks beneath this 200, we should easily see this get to about 560 on the for the price. So if you're looking to get into a trade, once it breaks beneath 575 or this 200-day moving average, you can do option plays, you can do put options, and then you can have your strike price at about 560, 562 to just have it as your strike price. With that, however close you can get to that strike price, I would do that one. And set out your expiration date for like a month, just so you can have that time decay. Even though it's not going to probably take a month to happen, I just always like to give myself more expiration than I actually need. The premium will be a little bit more, but again, when this price is going down, you're making percentage on more of your money. So if the premium costs $1,000 and it dips, and you make 10%, you'll make $100. Whereas if you had a shorter expiration date and it only cost $100 and you made the 10%, you're only making $10 off of it. So it's kind of safer to have longer expiration dates in my opinion. And let's just say, again, Meta was to go up. The next place it's going to come and test is going to be this 20-day moving average, which is going to be sitting here at about 610. So 610, if it was to reject this 200-day moving average, we'll be seeing this probably get to that 20-day moving average, which is at about 610. Current price 576. Again, if it rejects it, yeah, 610 is probably where it's going to go ahead and try to get to. And that can happen. We can see last week or 2 weeks ago, it got really close to that 200-day moving average, rejected it, and we can see price 2 days later made it to that 610. So this is that can happen. So you just need to wait for the rejection and evaluate the other time frames if you wanted to play it to the upside. I would be careful though this week again, because we have Trump speaking, we have Jerome Powell. I would be really careful playing call options right now, just because I know that they can definitely sway the market to the downside, well, whatever they say this week. Any questions? All right, perfect, perfect. Next one, another one. And again, the market is just about everything is looks like it's decreasing from what I've been seeing. At least the top, some of the top companies in the S&P 500 have been decreasing. Next one, Nvidia, and again, let me clear out all of these lines. Okay. So Nvidia, we can see that there is beneath all of the moving averages. So for support lines, we need to find a level that's been tested quite often. And we can say that about here at about 107 is the next level that is going to come and test first. So it's coming to try to test that 107 range. I chose 107 because of this recent activity here. And then if we look backwards, we can see we have some type of activity on this line where it tried to reject here, tried to reject here, even over here. So that's a pretty nice line to have for your first level of support. And again, anytime you're analyzing a trade, you want to try to be at least 2 steps ahead of the game. So instead of just drawing one support line, you want to draw this support line and then find the next support. Where's the next place that it can potentially test after this? So the next place that this can potentially test is going to be, we can use right here if we wanted to. You can draw it up really tight. You can say about right here at 101, 100 would be the next place, or you can draw it a little bit lower at about 96. I'm going to use this 100 range just for my first level, the next level that I'm saying it can get to. Again, this activity that we have here shows that this would support even back here as well. So the next level, if this was to break beneath this 106, 107 range, is going to be $100. So looking at the indicators again, RSI level is pointing downwards. It's trying to get to that oversold region. We have room to the downside on the stochastic, so it's setting up for a nice put option for sure. Like it's past the blue line on the stochastic is just below the 50 level, and it's going to try to get to that 0 mark. All right, so when it's pointing down, it's trying to get back to that 0 range. So it does have room to the downside. Pair that in with that MACD crossover to the downside. This is also setting up like a very nice put option. If I saw this, let's just say this form Monday, and I saw this, I would feel really confident saying, okay, I can get into a put option play, and I'll probably see it get to about this 100 range. I wouldn't make my strike price 100. I would probably make it like 102, 103, just so that I can solidify that it can get to that level. But I would definitely, if this was Monday, if this happened Monday, I would definitely be looking for a trade to get into for Tuesday and maybe to hold it for the rest of the week. Yeah, for sure. This is setting up really nice for a downtrend. Any questions? Okay, perfect. So let's just say it was to reject and it was to go up. First place is going to come and try to test is 115. After, and again, that's that 20-day moving average. After 115, we have another cluster of moving averages. We'll use that. The next one is going to be the 50-day moving average. The next place it can get to is about 124. Can this happen? It can happen. Looking at the indicators, though, and the way that the market is, again, it looks like this is cooling down, it's pulling back. And I'm thinking that the pullback is going to happen more likely than the increase in this, and then the uptrend that can happen. And again, it'll have to, before I was to get into a call option here, I'm waiting for it to break above this 20-day moving average, and I'm waiting for it to hold above, like it can have a nice strong break above it. So you see how this red candlestick, this is a big red candlestick that broke beneath it. That's signifying that this is a downtrend. So I would want to see a nice size green candlestick break above it before I get in. I wouldn't want to see a candlestick like this break above it. That's not enough for me to say, okay, this can potentially go up. Back here, you see how this is a nice full size candlestick, and I would say, okay, this is a nice size candlestick for me to say, okay, I feel comfortable getting into this trade. But something like this wouldn't give me the inclination I need to say, let's go ahead and get into this trade on the upside. So we can see a nice size candlestick, something like this one, but it's green to the upside on this 20-day. I would then feel comfortable getting into a trade for a call option to this upside of 124, 125. And then, of course, I will also look at all of my other indicators as well, just to make sure that they're all setting up to be moving up and moving upwards. All right. Any questions? Okay, perfect, perfect. All right. So last topic I wanted to talk about is going to be Microsoft. So I got into Microsoft last week. Again, I was using the trading bot that we just had implemented into the Discord. I think if you're in the Discord and you do have that premium membership, definitely try to just test out those bots and just to see how much you like them. So those bots just basically give you different trading ideas. And what I did was I saw one of those trading ideas. It was a Microsoft call option. And I said, that's interesting. So I clicked on the call option and I just analyzed the chart to see if it was a good play to get into or not. It's really key if you're going to use those bots inside of the Discord to also be able to chart. Because again, that the trade that I was looking at, it was a call option and it was set out for a year. So it was going to expire January 1st, I think of 2026, I want to say. It might have even been 2027. I can't quite remember which one it was, but it was set out for at least a year, maybe two. And I just went in to analyze the stock to see what was happening with it. And when I looked at Microsoft, again, this was probably on, I want to say this was on the 27th. Yeah, this was this Thursday. So when I analyzed this stock and I was looking at the daily, the way that this was setting up, I was just like, well, this isn't setting up to continue to go up right now. This overall, maybe a year from now, I can't say that it's not going to get to the value that they're saying. And they were saying that the value would get to about 4 or 5 in the next year. So, but I said for the time being, this isn't going to be going up right now. This is probably going to be pulling back. And I said it'll probably pull back to about 377. So what I did was I just looked at the indicators, and again, I used the indicators to determine if this was a good trade or not. So I looked at my RSI level; it was pointing downwards. The stochastic, it was pretty high. It just started to point downwards at this point, and then we was really close to a MACD crossover to the downside. So I said to myself, okay, because all of these things is happening, more than likely the stock is going to decrease before it starts to increase. So I said, let me go ahead and get into a put option. I can get into a put option and then cash out when the time comes. So I got into a put option here at this level. I probably paid like $800 for this contract, and afterwards, when I sold it, it was worth $1,500. So I made just a little bit under $1,000 on this, $300 away from 1,000. I made about $700 off of this play. And it only took a day for it to happen. And I had my expiration date out for April 17th. The reason why I got out was just because I didn't want to hold it over the weekend because I didn't know what was going to happen. But if it had more days in this trading week to play out, I probably would have held it a little bit longer because I do see that Microsoft could be pulling back some more. And where would it go? Let's take a look. So again, we have support here at about 377. And let me clear out this VRVP. Let's clear out some of these losses. Oh, this was one. All right, let's clear out some of these. All right, so we have support here at about 378, 377 is going to be our level of support. The next place that I can see Microsoft getting to if it was to continue to pull back is going to be here at about 362, 360. So the next level, that's the next level that this can potentially get to. Again, a nice strong cluster of candlesticks. We're bouncing off of this level back here. So this is a nice little level of support that we can say eventually it should get to this level. We can see that the stock tried to break above the 20-day moving average. It broke above it. And then eventually, ultimately, it rejected it and it's starting to pull back. So if we can see the stock price break beneath this 377 range, I'm really confident that we'll see it get to that 360 range, just because it's rejecting that 20-day moving average. Yep, Yvonne, you have a question?
Hey, Mark, what day did you buy your put?
I bought this put on Thursday, the 27th, which is Thursday.
Okay, cool.
Yes, I got it Thursday. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, so again, if this was to break beneath, the next level that it can be getting to is 362. So what I'm looking for is another breakout of this level. If it can break beneath this 377 range, I'm going to look for an opportunity to get in and try to ride it up to this 362 range, or ride it down to this 362 range. Again, it's just rejected this 20-day moving average. So when you see those type of rejections, it normally indicates that it's going to, 9 times out of 10, we should be seeing a decrease from it. And then we have the moving averages all in chronological order. So anytime you see where it's like 20, 50, 100, 200, this 20 line is really strong depending on which way it is. So because it's pointing downwards, that means that this has a lot of downwards momentum. If this was flipped and we had it to where the 20, 100, 20, 50, 100, 200 were stacked up top and the 20 was pointing upwards, then that makes this 20 line really strong to where when it's testing this level, it's probably going to bounce above it. And so it's just opposite now. So now that the 20 is pointing downwards and is in chronological order, that means that going downwards, these tests, a lot of times you're going to be seeing that momentum carry itself down some more. So I'm thinking we're probably going to still have some more downwards momentum. And not right now, it's just about finding that right spot to get in. Again, if it breaks beneath this 376, I would feel comfortable getting into another option, put option to the downside. Strike price, I wouldn't make it 362, 360. I would probably make it about 367, somewhere in that area, just so that I can, just so that I can solidify myself with my profits, just so I know that it's going to hit this level. Like even up here, when I got into my option play, the price was at about 389 when I got into it. And my strike price, I put it in the money. So I did a put option and my strike price was 390. So that's why my contract was so high. It expired 3 weeks from now, but it was in the money at 390. So I just gave myself that a little extra securities to where if it does increase a little bit, I won't lose as much money as I would if I made my strike price something lower. While lower is cheaper and you could make more money off the cheaper, I just like the safety of having my strike price really close to the current price, because I know 9 times out of 10 that can happen before this happens. The 378 happened. I wasn't expecting 378 when I got into the trade. I was just expecting to get out at like 385, 382, something like that. I wasn't expecting to get out all the way at like 378. But yeah. Any questions on Microsoft? All right. Yeah, so we have a Discord, Mike, that we share trades. We have trades in there, and those bots are inside the Discord. And I can give you a demo of the Discord later once the session is over, so you can see how it works. And yeah, I can send you a invite link to the Discord. So we do have a few different versions of the Discord. We have a free version to where you can see the stock chat. We do also have a pay version that's where you'll get the bots at. The premium bots, you can schedule one-on-ones with myself or Ladarius, and you'll also see plays being posted in there as well. And we have survey links that go inside of there that to where we post surveys to where people you can go and get interviews. You can have interviews for different companies, and they'll pay you for your opinions on different items. And these companies are some reputable companies. Like if you're doing taste tests, you can be tasting food for Chick-fil-A or Zaxby's, or you can. I did a survey once where I talked about beer for Guinness, and they just asked about marketing, and they paid me $450 just to talk about beer with them and their marketing. So it's a good way to make some side income. And then we also have crypto in there as well. Last thing with Microsoft. So if this was to increase, 20-day moving average is where it's going to come to. So I'm thinking about 388 is where it's going to potentially get to before we start to see it try to do something at this level. If it was to reject 377, we should be seeing it try to get back to about 388 before it decides if it wants to go up or down from here. But again, I'm thinking I'm just waiting for it to break beneath the 377. If it can break beneath 377, I'm looking 372. That's a nice little place to have a strike price for this put option. So if it breaks beneath 377, 372 is my strike price. If it hits 372, I'm looking to see, okay, should I get out here? If the indicators are still telling me that this can go down more, I will stay in the trade. But if it's having a hard time trying to get to that 372 range, then that's when I'll say, okay, this may be running out of steam. This may be the bottom. Let me go ahead, get out here, take profit, and just see what happens from there. But that's what I'm looking at for Microsoft. Any questions? Yeah, Jessica, Ladarius had a personal emergency he had to attend to today. So it's just me today. It's just me. All right, so I don't have any other picks. I'm trying to think. Does anyone have a stock that they may have wanted to go over? I can probably go over a few of those this week if you had a stock that you were looking into. DraftKings, yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at DraftKings. All right. DraftKings. So this is on the daily. Looking at DraftKings, and I can clear it. Well, Oh, I gotta clear it. Yeah, I'll clear it out just to make it look cleaner for everybody. All right. So looking at DraftKings current price, $35.30. If we was to draw some resistance first, let's draw some resistance. The first place I'm going to draw resistance is going to be here at about $36.80, $37. You can call it $37 if you needed to. Why I chose this area? Well, when price was decreasing, you can see when it got to this level, it rejected and it traded up there quite a while before ultimately breaking beneath it. Even back here, when it pulled back, it tested this area before going up, and back here, same thing as well. So that's a nice level of support. So if DraftKings was to go up, we could see this get to about $37. Now, looking at its current price at $35.30, it's basically testing the support level. So if we was to just draw a little support here, and and we move over to the left, we can see price went down, tested this area, rejected it, ultimately went up. Even back here, price went down, tested this area before it broke underneath it. So this is a nice level of first support to have at this level. Looking at the indicators, RSI level, it's pointing downwards, is at 39.40 is the RSI level. Stochastic RSI level has broken beneath the 50 day movement or the 50 line, and is pulling back, trying to get to that oversold region of 0. So we have room to the downside looking at DraftKings, and we just had a crossover on the MACD. So we could be seeing this decrease more. I'm thinking we'll probably see this decrease some more. So the next level that we can see it get to, if it was to break beneath this support line, I'm gonna draw it here. Coin at about $34. It's the next level that we can see DraftKings get to. So if it can break beneath our current support level, we could be seeing this get to about $34 before we start to see it try to reject this level and get back up. And again, if we pull back, we can see even back here, it tested this level as well. So this is the next level of strong support. So what I would be looking for if you're looking to get into a trade here, I'm waiting for it to break beneath this 35 range. If it breaks beneath this 35 range, you can try to get into a put option to this $34 range. And then if it's rejecting this $35 range and it's trying to go upwards, you can try to get into a call option. Just look at those smaller time frames to see what's happening during that time, and you can try to ride it up to this 36 range. But ultimately, looking at the daily, it looks like it needs to continue to cool down some more. Now, it may just consolidate at this level before it starts to turn around, but the way that this is setting up, it looks like we should be seeing this get to about 34 this week. That's how I see it. Any questions on DraftKings?
No, I was in a call option.
Okay.
45 call.
45 call.
Yeah, 45 for May 16th.
May 16th. It is March, May. So you got 2 months. Let's look at the weekly and see how it's setting up on the weekly. All right. So the weekly, 45. You can see. Yeah, it's trying. So on the weekly, the stochastic is trying to find this bottom. Again, I'm thinking that the bottom may be, looking at the daily, maybe this 34. It could get to 30. I don't think it's going to get all the way to 30 though. But I do think it may test 34 before it starts to try to turn around from this point. Just looking at the stochastic does have on the weekly, it is running out of steam. It's becoming oversold. So we are trying to find the bottom for the moment. That could, again, 2 months from now, we could see it at 45. But I would just keep an eye out on it and keep paying attention to it if you wanted to hold it for longer, just to see if it breaks beneath that 34 range. You may want to get out and try to reposition, or maybe try to hedge it, get some puts just to try to make some of that money back, recoup some of the money you may be down since it's a call option. You try to just hedge it and do a put option just to try to get some of those profits back. But looking on the weekly, again, it does look like it's trying to establish its bottom, but I'm thinking the bottom is going to be about 34, especially because where the daily is. All right. AMD really quickly. Got about 10 minutes left. All right, so AMD looking like the other stocks. Looks like it's trying to pull back some more. Currently testing, it's currently testing the 20-day moving average. We can even call it that support level. So we can say about 100 is going to be 101 is going to be that support level. It's trying to break beneath it. Stochastic RSI level is pretty high. It's trying to pull back some more. RSI level is pointing downwards, and we're really close to a crossover on the downside on the MACD. So we're really close to that blue line being underneath that orange or red line. And anytime we see that, that's going to, again, cause the stock price to decrease. If it was to break beneath the 102 range, the next level that we can see it get to, just draw it here, it's about $98, $99. It's going to be the next level if it was to break this 101 range. If we was to scroll back, let's see, we can see that that's a nice little level of support to have. Stock price tested it here, here. So this is a nice little level of support to say, okay, this is where it can get to. So just me personally, I'm thinking next week again with Trump speaking Wednesday. We have Jerome Powell. We may see a green day here and there, but overall, I'm thinking we're going to be seeing a decrease in the market. So I'm thinking more than likely we're going to be seeing that 98 range. So if I'm looking to get into a play here, I'm looking to say, okay, can the stock price, does it like Monday when the market opens, does it look like it's going to break beneath 101, 102? If it does, then I feel comfortable getting into that put option to about 99. And if it's rejecting this level, it's not going to, I don't think it's going to reject and come all the way up to 118 off the rip. I think the first place is going to come and test. It's going to be here at about 109, 110, which is going to be this 50-day moving average. Next place, if it rejects, it's going to come and test this 50-day moving average. So that's what I would be looking for on AMD. Still, it probably has a little bit more pullback before it establishes its bottom. And before I was to get into like a swing trade or anything, I would want to make sure that stochastic is at least pointing upwards and it has room to the upside, or if not, all the way at the bottom and it's starting to point back upwards. That's a nice little place to get your swing trades from. Once it breaks above this 20 range pointing upwards, that's a nice place to get in. So I would just be waiting, especially with that MACD crossover to the downside as well. We could be seeing it get a little bit lower. Any questions on AMD? Let's take a look at ALAB. All right, so ALAB, $60.78 is its current price. Getting set up pretty similar to the other stocks. Stochastic RSI is pointing downwards. It has room to the downside. I'm thinking this week, again, I know I sound like a broken record, but it's probably going to be a red week for us this week. But current price is $60.78. That's a support level that it's testing. If it was to break beneath that, the next level is going to get to, you can say here at about $55. So that's the next level. If it was to break beneath the 60 range, we could be seeing this with a $5, at least a $5 decrease to about 60. Excuse me, to about 55. And again, where the MACD crossover to the downside is about to happen, that stochastic is pretty low. I'm really thinking we're going to probably see 55 this week. All right. Any questions? And if it was to increase, because I always like to give you the outcome, if it was to go up, the place where it's going to go and try to test is going to be here at about $68.05. And if it breaks above that, we could be seeing it get to this 200-day moving average, which is at about $76. But again, that's looking highly unlikely, just how it's gauging. We may have a green day that can cause us to get up to that 68 range, but I'm thinking we're going to see a rejection off of that 68, if anything, and it'll start to pull us back down again. Ultimately, if you're looking to trade this to the upside, what I would be waiting for is for it to break above that 200-day moving average. Because if it breaks above that 200-day moving average, it'll be making a double bottom. So we can say that it'll be making a double bottom pattern to where stock price went down, came up, pulled back down, and then ultimately it starts to go back up and try to get back to this current level where it started the double bottom, which had about 108. But again, that it'll have to break above that 200-day before that happens. I wouldn't get into this type of trade until after it breaks above that 200-day with a strong little candlestick. If we can have a nice size candlestick break above 200, then you can play to the upside. But other than that, I'm thinking this probably needs to pull back a little bit more, and that pullback is going to hit us at about 55. That's the spot that I'm looking to say, okay, I can reevaluate this for a swing trade. if all my indicators are pointing upwards, you can get in. I got a couple more. Perfect. Okay, so start off with some resistance. Current price $20. If we was to draw some resistance, gonna draw resistance here at about $20.76. So that's gonna be my first level of resistance. If it breaks above that level, I'm saying we can see it get to about this level at about $22. It's the next level that it can break if it gets above this it's $20.76, right? $21 range. Looking at the indicators, RSI level is high, it's pointing upwards, but that stochastic for me is where I'm waiting to see what happens. So if that stochastic can get past this neutral zone of 50 and continue to go down, we should be seeing this break down some more. We're really close to a crossover on the MACD to the downside, where the buying pressure will be beneath the selling pressure. So that'll give us also that downwards pressure, downwards momentum to cause the stock price to decrease some more. But I would be waiting for that to happen. So for support, I'm saying I'm looking at this level at about here, which is about $20, $19.95 is my support level. If it can break beneath this level, then I can see this stock price testing this 20-day moving average, which is at about $18.63. So if it can break beneath our support level of $20 that we have, we could be seeing this get back to $18. Just where the stochastic level is at, and we have that MACD crossover to the downside about to happen. I can see that happening. But again, I will wait for it to break beneath this support of $20 before I can get into that put option. If it rejects this level, first place is going to come and test this $20.70 line. And if it breaks above that, that's when I would then get into my trade and ride it up to that $22 range. So I will be waiting. Can we see the price break above $20.79? If we can, we could potentially see this get to about $22. If not, and it breaks beneath this $20 range, we could be seeing this get to about $18. So that's what I'm seeing there. Any questions? Okay. All right, so one more. I can do one more. Skyward. All right. Skyward is another one that's looking like it's decreasing in value as well. Stochastic is pretty high. It's in that overbought region. It's trying to start to come down. If it doesn't come down, I don't think this has too much more room to the upside. I would say they'll probably come and just try to test our resistance level we have here, which is at about $54. So this, I think, thinking that's the that's going to be a strong level of resistance right now, just where the stochastic is at. I don't think it can get any higher than this 54. If it does get any higher, the most it'll get to is at about 55, the all-time high levels we have for this stock. Now, if it continues to pull back, thinking it's going to try to pull back to this 20-day moving average, which is at about $50.75. So that's the level that I'm thinking. If it's red, we're probably going to be seeing this stock try to get to this 20-day moving average, $50.57, $50.50. It's going to be where it's going to be moving to. And again, the way that it's setting up, we have that MACD crossover. It's not happened yet, but we see that the blue line is starting to curve downwards, or it's starting to flatten out and wants to start to point downwards. And that's going to, again, cause the stock price to drive us down to that $50.50 range. Any questions? All right, okay, perfect. So that's 7:01. That's all I really have for you all today. If you're interested in the Discord, just stick around a little bit after everyone leaves, and I can show you all around the Discord. And I'll also post the links to the Discord as well inside of this chat as well. Before I do that, let me first post if you ever wanted to watch the YouTube playbacks, this is our channel on YouTube. And let me get the link check groups. Yeah, this is about all I have. So again, I appreciate everybody that came through. Let me stop this recording. If you're in the Discord, you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And if you yeah, and I'll see you next week. I'm sorry. Mine is everywhere.